Well, this is a tough one, this deep dive. We're looking into Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, the former NFL running back
Yeah.
for the Packers.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, he was a beast on the field, just a powerhouse. But recently, things off the field, not so great.
It's a tough story.
Mm.
Raises a lot of questions, makes you think this isn't just like a parking ticket, you know?
Yeah.
This is serious stuff with some big-time consequences, especially, and this is important, it's not his first time around the block with this.
No, definitely not. And that makes it even more concerning. So let's back up a bit. September 30th, what happened? Paint us a picture.
So it starts with a 911 call. Someone's on the phone, and they are scared, like really scared. They're describing Lacy's driving, and it's bad, like weaving all over the road, speeding.
Oh, man.
And the caller actually says to the dispatcher, this guy, he's going to kill somebody.
That's chilling. So the police, they catch up to him. What happens?
Yeah, they pull him over. And thankfully, we have the body camera footage. It's clear right away that something's wrong. Lacy, he's just not all there. His words are all slurred. He can barely put a sentence together. The officer, he even tries to make some small talk, you know, about Lacy's days playing for Alabama.
To, like, lighten the mood, I guess?
Right, exactly. But Lacy, he's just not tracking.
And he admits to drinking, right?
He does. So he had, like, one shot of tequila. On the flight earlier. Oh, and get this. He's saying he's heading to his girlfriend's, claims it's just a couple yards away.
But something about that doesn't add up. One shot of tequila doesn't usually equal, I can barely form a sentence.
Exactly. And that's where the breathalyzer comes in. Lacy blew a .325.
Okay, even I know that's bad, but for those of us who aren't walking DUI manuals, break it down. What does that number even mean?
.325, we're talking more than 4 times the legal limit.
Yeah.
Think about it at that level, you might black out. You could pass out. Coma. Seriously impaired. Driving a car with that much alcohol in your system, it's just, yeah, it's incredibly reckless.
It's terrifying, honestly.
It really is.
And this wasn't his first DUI, was it? We mentioned that earlier. This is starting to look like a pattern.
You hit the nail on the head. It echoes a DUI back in 2022, March of 22. Scottsdale, Arizona.
What was his BAC then?
.247.
So this wasn't like a one-time slip-up. This is someone who is at the top of his game, a star for the Packers, and now... So let's rewind. Before we go any further, remind us about his time in the NFL. Could that shed some light on any of this?
Oh, yeah, Eddie Lacy in the NFL. That takes us back. He was a monster, you know, on the field. Ran like a freight train.
I bet.
Yeah, for 2013 to 2017, Green Bay Packers, he was a huge part of their offense.
What kind of numbers are we talking about?
Over 3,600 rushing yards total.
Wow.
He even broke 1,100 yards a couple of those seasons.
Yes.
The guy was a tank.
A beast. And we're not talking about ancient history. I mean, he was just at Lambeau, like, recently.
Exactly. September, just last month.
Yeah.
Alumni appearance, back at Lambeau, celebrated, you know.
Wow.
Then, bam, days later, this DUI.
It's a tough one. That contrast, you know, the highs and lows,
It makes you think, you know, like the pressures these athletes face.
Yeah.
Going from that level of competition to, what, regular life?
Yeah.
And then the fame, the money, it can be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, no doubt. So, legally speaking, where does this leave him? This wasn't his first DUI. What are the consequences?
That's the thing. Second offense, it's a whole different ballgame. In
Yeah.
Arizona, extreme DUI, which this is, can mean jail time, fines, lose your license, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
But second time around, jail time gets longer, could be looking at that ignition interlock thing,
Yeah.
mandatory rehab.
Intense. This is serious stuff.
It is. It's about public safety, holding people accountable.
Absolutely. But, and I'm not trying to make excuses here, but it's easy to forget that there's a person at the center of this, someone who's struggling.
100%. We see the headlines, the mugshots, but we forget there's a whole story there. We got to remember that.
Compassion, right.
Yeah, exactly. Holding someone accountable doesn't mean we can't also have compassion.
It's just, it's kind of sad, you know? You see someone who had it all, the talent, the success, and now this. It makes you wonder, what happens to these guys, these athletes, after the cheering stops, after the stadium lights go out? Is there any kind of, like, safety net for them?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Right. And honestly, it's something we need to be talking about more. Going from that level of intensity, the competition, the routine, back to, well, just life. It's going to be a huge adjustment.
Yeah, like going from 100 to 0 in a second.
Exactly. That's where support is so important. These guys, they need help transitioning, figuring out what's next, career stuff, mental health, just like a network of people who get it, you know?
It's like we see the fame, the money, the athleticism, and we think they've got it made. But underneath it all, they're still human, right? With
Yeah.
human problems.
Exactly. And that's what we have to remember, I think. We need to hold people accountable, absolutely, but we also need to remember the human side of things.
Yeah.
Offer support, not just judgment.
It's about finding that balance. Well, this deep dive has been definitely eye-opening. We went beyond the headlines, beyond the surface to try to understand, the complexities of Eddie Lacy's story. It's a tough one, for sure.
It really is. And I think if there's one thing we can take away from all of this, it's the importance of reaching out for help when you need it and offering support to those who are struggling. We all have our ups and downs, right?
Absolutely. To our listeners, if any of this resonated with you, if you're going through something, please know that you're not alone. There are resources out there, people who can help. Don't be afraid to reach out. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.